Now let's make Motif B. There are two color schemes for it. The first one is for the 4 motifs of the inner circle, and the second 2 is for the outer circle. We'll start with the magic ring and work back and forth. We'll switch colors when needed. Make the gusset and work back and forth again. After that, put on decorations. You can see the crochet technique for Motif B is similar to Motif A, but takes a quarter of Motif A. Let's make it together. Start with a magic ring. And crochet row 1, chain 1. Now, in the ring, make 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 3 double crochets, one half double crochet and 1 single crochet. Then fasten off. Close the ring. And hide the tail on the wrong side. Row 1 is completed. Move on to row 2. This row is crocheted on the right side. Find the first single crochet from the previous row. Pick up 2 strands on the wrong side and join yarn. Chain 2. Slip stitch under the middle double crochet on the wrong side. Chain 2. Slip stitch into 2 strands of the last single crochet on the wrong side. Row 2 is completed. Continue with row 3. Chain 4 to start. Turn your work. Insert the chain space and crochet the corresponding stitch. Then fasten off. Row 3 is completed. For row 4 on the wrong side, join yarn in the edge stitch on the right side. Then follow the chart and crochet the corresponding stitches. Work the last treble crochet onto the beginning chain. Fasten off at the end. Row 4 is completed. Continue with row 5. Join yarn on the wrong side in the last chain of the beginning chain from the previous row. Chain 1. Slip stitch under the next treble crochet on the wrong side. Then follow the chart and crochet. Work the last slip stitch into the edge treble crochet on the wrong side. Fasten off at the end. Row 5 is completed. You can see that the technique for Motif B is similar to the corresponding position of Motif A. However, for most rows, you need to join yarn before crocheting. The middle part is the same way as before. Please check the entry point for the beginning and ending on the chart. For row 7, join yarn in the first single crochet from the previous row. After the beginning chain, follow the chart and crochet the corresponding stitches. After the last stitch, join with a slip stitch at the ending stitch of the previous row and fasten off. Row 7 is completed. For the next row, join yarn in the yarn joining point of the previous row. Chain to start and then crochet. Finish with a slip stitch around the same point to make the edge neat. For row 9, join yarn by picking up the corresponding position of the chain on the right. And then crochet. After the slip stitch, fasten off the yarn. For row 11, join yarn by picking up the corresponding double crochet on the wrong side. For row 12 and the next few rows, follow the chart and crochet back and forth. For row 16, there is one chain between these two groups of stitches. The entry point for the double crochets below it are adjacent. Don't get it wrong. Please work following the chart and the previous video until row 24. You can check on Motif A as you crochet. Your working piece should be 1/4 of it. After row 24, continue with the gusset on the left. The technique is similar to the gusset of Motif A. The end of row 2 should be crocheted into the gap before the beginning chain. The last 3 stitches of the last row should also be crocheted into the gap. You can adjust the placement according to the actual situation. Just ensure the edge looks neat. Finally, fasten off the yarn. Then join yarn at the corresponding position on the wrong side. Crochet the gusset on the right. After that, fasten off the yarn. Please follow the chart to finish it. That concludes the gussets. Finally, crochet row 25. Join yarn at the edge stitches of the left gusset on the wrong side. Chain 3 as the beginning chain. Work 3 double crochets in the same spot. Then crochet double crochets in the stitches and edges. The technique is similar to the edging of the last round of Motif A. After the final stitch, work 4 double crochets in the beginning chain. For row 26, turn your work and follow the chart as you go. It won't be difficult to you. Finally, fasten off the yarn. Secure all loose ends on the wrong side. You can compare the size of it with Motif A. The last row should roughly match one side of Motif A. Now, let's put on some decorations. We have decorations of slip stitch, leaves, and butterflies. We put half of a butterfly on each side. The technique is the same as for Motif A, just differs in numbers. Note that the overlap of the decorations of slip stitch is the entry point of row 20. Please don't get it wrong. The lines on the flanks should be worked as the chart required. As the finished project, you may crochet the butterflies first and lay them on the piece, as you like. Then determine the position of the decorations of slip stitch. Please follow the chart and complete the rest of Motif B. That concludes Motif B. Next, let's work on Motif C. There are 2 color schemes. We'll start with a magic ring and work back and forth. We'll switch colors when needed. The specific technique is similar to the gussets of Motif A. Consider the side with the clearer texture of row 1 as the right side of the entire piece. Note that each row begins with 4 chains and ends with 1 treble crochet. Each time you join yarn, do it on the right edge stitch on the right side. Pay attention to matching the cast-on side to the side of Motif B while crocheting. The final length of them should be matched. Please follow the chart to complete Motif C. Now, let's work on Motif D. We'll start with a chain ring and crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The new stitch technique is TR6 bobble. I'll show you in detail. For the chain ring and round 1 to 10, the crochet technique is identical to the corresponding rounds of Motif A, but differs in color scheme. Please follow the previous video and the chart to complete it. Now, I will crochet round 11 on this sample. First, join yarn in this gap above tail end of the previous round, which is the gap above this, the popcorn. Chain 4. Work 1 TR5 popcorn in the gap. Here, we insert the stitch. Now, chain 4 again. Slip stitch in the same spot below. Chain 7. Find the middle stitch of round 8 on the left. Slip stitch in the 2 strands of it on the wrong side. Make it roughly centered. Continue to chain 7. Slip stitch in the next gap. Slightly tighten. Chain 4. Work 1 TR5 popcorn in the same spot. Chain 4 again. Slip stitch in the same spot. Consider the stitches after the first slip stitch as a group. Continue with more groups all across this round. Finally, slip stitch at the start joining point. Fasten off the yarn. Round 11 is completed. Now work round 12. Join yarn in the chain space after the tail. Chain 2 as the beginning chain. This counts as 1/2 double crochet. In the same chain space, work 1/2 double crochet and 4 single crochets. Work 6 single crochets in the next chain space. In the next chain space formed by 4 chains, work 1 single crochet, 1/2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 treble crochet, 1 double crochet, 1/2 double crochet, and 1 single crochet. Work 1 single crochet in the chain space above the next popcorn. In the next chain space formed by 4 chains, crochet stitches symmetrical to the right side. After that, work 6 single crochets in the chain space formed by 7 chains. In the next chain space, work 4 single crochets and 2 half double crochets. Consider the crocheted stitches as one group. Continue to work more groups and complete this round. Do not crochet in the chain spaces of this popcorn. Start in the chain space formed by 7 chains. And finish with a slip stitch in the beginning chain. Fasten off the yarn. Round 12 is completed. Now crochet round 13. Here I will use a sample to demonstrate. This round has only 2 stitches. First, locate this popcorn before the tail from round 11. Join yarn in the middle stitch of this popcorn. Crochet 1 special DC5 popcorn. Enlarge the loop and fasten off the yarn. Hide all the tails on the wrong side. Then, on the popcorn at opposite side. Crochet another special DC5 popcorn. This completes round 13. Now, crochet round 14. Find the popcorn from round 13. Which is this stitch on the upper right? Join yarn in the chain space behind it. Crochet 1 special DC5 popcorn. Chain 2. In the next treble crochet stitch from round 12. Crochet 1 DC3 in 1. Continue following the chart. To crochet DC3 in 1 for the required positions. After that, chain 2. Find a single crochet on the popcorn from round 12. Insert the stitch of it and crochet 1 TR6 bobble. First, crochet 6 unclosed treble crochets. Yarn over and draw through all loops once. The TR6 bobble is completed. Chain 4. In the same spot, crochet another TR6 bobble. Then chain 2. Follow the chart to make DC 3 in 1 into the required spots. The final one should be crocheted in the treble crochet. Chain 2. Repeat this process for the rest stitches. But the corner may be different. Please follow the chart and complete this round. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 14 is completed. Move on to round 15. Start by one slip stitch into the chain space behind the popcorn. Chain 3 to start. Work 2 double crochets in the same spot. Work 3 double crochets in the next chain space. For the next gap, work 3 double crochets. For the next chain space, work 3 double crochets. For the chain space formed by 4 chains, work 3 double crochets. Three chains and 3 double crochets. Continue like this as the chart required. Complete this round. Join with a slip stitch, and fasten off the yarn. Round 15 is completed. For round 16, just follow the chart and crochet. Consider the corner chains as the corners, and the double crochets between them as the sides. That completes Motif D. Crochet the remaining Motif D in the same way. Next, let's work on Motif E. We'll start with a magic ring, and crochet in rounds counterclockwise. We'll switch colors when needed. I'll show you in detail. First, make a magic ring. Then crochet round 1. Work 8 single crochets into the ring. Close the ring. Join with a slip stitch in the starting stitch. Round 1 is complete. Consider the side with the clearer texture as the right side. Continue to crochet round 2. Work DC 2 in 1 following the chart. Weave in the tail as you go. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 2 is complete. Continue with round 3. Make 1 single crochet in the beginning chain. Chain 3. Skip 1 stitch, and make 1 single crochet. Work the entire round following the chart like this. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 3 is complete. Now crochet round 4. In the next chain space, make 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. Repeat the crocheted stitches for the following chain spaces. End with a slip stitch and fasten off. Secure the tail on the wrong side. This completes round 4. Move on to round 5. Find a single crochet from round 3. On the wrong side, pick up the single crochet from right to left and join yarn. Then chain 5. Work 1 slip stitch in the next single crochet of round 3. Similarly, pick up the single crochet from right to left on the wrong side. Chain 5. Complete this round in the same way. The last stitch is worked into the starting join point. This forms chain spaces on the wrong side. Round 5 is completed. For round 6, crochet the corresponding stitches in the chain spaces from the previous round. Finish with a slip stitch and fasten off. Please complete this. Now crochet round 7. Find the slip stitch from round 5. Pick up 2 strands on the wrong side to join yarn. Chain 5. Slip stitch into 2 strands of the next slip stitch from round 5 on the wrong side. Then chain 14. Start from the second chain from the hook. Pick up the back ridges and make evenly 1 slip stitch. 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet. For the remaining chains, work double crochet evenly. After that, slip stitch into the back of the next slip stitch of round 5. Consider the crocheted stitches as one group. Continue with another group. Chain 5 first. Slip stitch behind the next slip stitch. Chain 14. From the second chain from the hook, crochet the corresponding stitches. Then slip stitch behind the next slip stitch. The second group is completed. Continue to finish the remaining 2 groups. The final slip stitch should be made into the yarn joining point. Fasten off the yarn. Round 7 is completed. Now crochet round 8. This round is divided into 4 small sections to fulfill the stitches from previous round to form leaves. First, find the chain space formed by 5 chains from the previous round. In the middle chain, pick up 2 strands and join yarn. Then, in the entry points of the previous double crochets, make 10 double crochets evenly. Continue with 1 half double crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 slip stitch, and finally, slip stitch at the tip. Work it around here. Fasten off the yarn. And hide the tail on the wrong side. The first small section is completed. The rest is crocheted in the same way. Please complete them. You see. This is what it looks like after completing round 8. Now, crochet round 9. Find one of the leaves from round 8. Pick the 2 strands of the 4th double crochet on the wrong side to join yarn. Here, you can pick up the bottom strands of the 2 double crochets like these. Work in the middle. And chain 10. And slip stitch in the bottom strands of the 2 double crochets of the next leaf. Continue crocheting like this. Finish with a slip stitch at the yarn joining point. Fasten off the yarn. Round 9 is completed. Move on to round 10. Join yarn in the chain space after the tail from the previous round. Chain 3 to start. Crochet 2 double crochets in the same chain space. Insert the chain space from round 7. And pick up the braid of next chain in the same time. To crochet 3 double crochets. Now 5 double crochets into the next chain spaces from the previous round. And chain 3. Another 5 double crochets in the next chain space. Insert both of these 2 chain spaces. To crochet 3 double crochets. Five double crochets in the next chain space. Chain 3. Consider the 3 chains as a corner for this round. The double crochets between 2 corners as the sides. Continue to work more sides and corners all across the entire round. After the last corner, complete this side at the yarn joining position. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 10 is completed. Move on to round 11. Start with 3 chains. Pick up stitches to crochet 8 double crochets evenly. Consider the crocheted stitches as a side for this round. Continue with 7 chains. Consider these as a corner. Continue crocheting the next side. Note that you need to skip 2 double crochets before you start. Crochet 9 double crochets evenly. Continue like this to work sides and corners for the round. Finish with a slip stitch and fasten off the yarn. Round 11 is complete. Now crochet round 12. Join yarn in the beginning chain from the previous round. Chain 2 as the beginning chain. This counts as 1/2 double crochet. Then pick up the stitches and crochet half double crochets evenly. Chain 3. Crochet 4 half double crochets into the next chain space. Pick up 2 chain spaces like this. To crochet 1/2 double crochet. Continue to crochet 4 half double crochets into the next chain space. And chain 3. Consider the crocheted stitches as one group. Work all the groups for the round. The half double crochet in the middle of the chain space should be worked by picking up 2 chain spaces in the same time. Finish with a slip stitch and fasten off the yarn. Round 12 is complete. Now crochet round 13. Join yarn in the chain spaces from the previous round. Chain 3 to start. Work 1 double crochet in the same chain space. Then, pick up stitches and work 9 double crochets evenly. Consider these 9 double crochets as one side of this round. Work 3 double crochets in the chain space. And consider this as a corner. Continue with the next side. This side connect to the leaf below by this double crochet in the middle. Work 4 double crochets first. For the next stitch, yarn over. Insert the middle of the corresponding position on the wrong side of the leaf. You can smooth out the fabric piece and insert around here. Pick up 1 or 2 strands. Then insert the corresponding stitch to complete the double crochet. The connection with the leaf is done. Continue to work 4 more double crochets. The second side is completed. Continue to crochet another corner. From here on, work following the chart in the same way. For the corresponding edge positions of the leaves, we connect. Finish round. End with a slip stitch and fasten off. Round 13 is completed. Now crochet round 14. Pick up in the middle strand of the beginning chain from the previous round, on the wrong side and join yarn. Then chain 5. Slip stitch into the middle strands of the middle double crochet, on one side from the previous round on the wrong side. Chain 5. Slip stitch into 2 strands of the middle stitch of the corner on the wrong side. Chain 5. Skip the next 2 stitches. Slip stitch into the second stitch of this side. Skip the next 2 stitches. Crochet 7 double crochets in the middle double crochet on this side. We call these 7 double crochets a fan. Now, skip the next 2 stitches and slip stitch. Chain 5. Slip stitch into 2 strands of the middle stitch of the corner on the wrong side. Consider the crocheted stitches as a group. Work the group all across this round. Work the last slip stitch into the yarn joining position. Fasten off the yarn. Round 14 is completed. Now crochet round 15. Join yarn in the third double crochet stitch of the fan before the tail of the previous round. Chain 3 to start. Work 4 double crochets in the same spot. Three double crochets for the chain space. Six double crochets for each of the next 2 chain spaces. Three double crochets for the next chain space. Five double crochets for the third double crochet of the next fan. Chain 3. Consider the crocheted stitches as one group. Finish the round with more groups. Finish with a slip stitch, and fasten off the yarn. Round 15 is completed. For round 16, we divide it into 2 sections. Find the chain space after the tail. And join yarn in it. Chain 3. 4 unclosed double crochets. Yarn over, insert. Draw the yarn through, yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. The first stitch is completed. Continue with 3 more. Yarn over and draw through in once. Chain 1 to secure. Fasten off the yarn. The first section is completed. Next, find the chain space on the opposite side. Crochet the same stitches in it. This completes round 16. Move on to round 17. Join yarn in the chain space before the tail from round 15. Chain 3. 1 double crochet in the same chain space. Skip the next 2 stitches. Insert the gap and work 3 double crochets. For the following stitches, we repeatedly skip 3 stitches, and work 3 double crochets for a gap, all the way to the position before the chain space. Work 2 double crochets in the chain space. Chain 3. 2 more double crochets in the chain space after these stitches from round 16. Place the stitches from round 16 in front. Now work the stitches for the double crochets of the previous side. When you reach the next chain space, work 2 double crochets. 3 chains. And 2 double crochets. Continue following the chart to complete this round. After the last 2 double crochets, chain 2. And work a single crochet in the beginning chain. Round 17 is now complete. Continue with round 18. Chain 3 to start. Work 1 double crochet in the same space. Then pick up these gaps and work 3 double crochets evenly. For the chain space, insert the chain from round 16, which is a strand like this, and the chain space behind in the same time to work 2 double crochets. Consider the crocheted stitches as one side of this round. Now chain 3. As a corner, start the next side with 2 double crochets into the same spot. Then continue picking up the gaps to crochet double crochets. Please follow the chart and the previous video. To complete this round, note that the adjacent corners are worked slightly differently. Finally, slip stitch and fasten off the yarn. Round 18 is completed. For the last round, join yarn in the chain space and crochet in rounds. Please follow the chart to complete it. Fasten off the yarn at the end. Hide all tails on the wrong side. You can compare it with the short side of Motif C. The sides should roughly match. If there is a significant difference, you may adjust your tension and crochet the final rounds again. That concludes Motif E. Next, let's join the motifs together. First, arrange the motifs according to the chart. You can start piecing from the middle and work your way outwards. You will do 2 types of piecing. One is for stitch to stitch. The other is for side to side. I'll show you in detail. Here, I'll join Motif A and Motif B by the piecing for stitch to stitch. Hold them with their wrong sides facing each other. Here, we have stitches on Motif B and chains on Motif A. The middle chain here matches both the first and last stitch of the outmost row of Motif B. Take a piece of yarn for the outmost row of Motif B. Colors on the sample are randomly picked. Thread the needle, tie a knot on the wrong side, and secure the tail at the corner. The length of the yarn should be about 3 times the side length. In practice, you can prepare the yarn following your own sewing habits. Go through the middle of the right edge stitch of Motif B. And into the middle chain of Motif A. Just go through this half ridge. Sew once more to secure. Continue to go through the half ridge of the chain and the further strand of the stitch like this. Now for the stitches. Go through the adjacent strands of the stitches and do whip stitches. This stitch is less noticeable due to the slip stitch. Don't miss it. When sewing, you can go underneath the yarn. This way, the yarn won't curl. Here, the stitch counts on corners of two motifs should be identical. If they are not, you can match one stitch on the fewer side to 2 stitches on the more side. You may adjust according to the actual situation as you go. Just ensure the fabric piece is flat and aligned. For the edge beginning chain, pick the top strand of the chain. To sew, the two motifs are joined together. You can continue join another motif B on this side. If the yarn is not long enough, secure the tail on the wrong side, and take another piece of yarn and sew. Later, you may encounter motifs like Motif D and Motif E, where you need to join corners. Motif C also has corners. Directly match up the middle chains, and sew through the strands for stitches. If the stitch counts do not match, adjust as needed. For the joining point of corners, secure it with a few more stitches. We don't want any obvious gaps there. Now, let's join Motif B and Motif C. By the piecing for side to side. Position them with their wrong sides facing each other. And take the yarn in the same way as the piecing for stitch to stitch. Secure the tail on the wrong side. Then whip stitch the stems together on the edge. Adjust the position while sewing, ensuring the sides of the motifs match. There are no specific requirements for where to insert the needle. Just secure the motifs firmly. For the center pattern of Motif B, after sewing this chain space, we go through the edge on the wrong side. To ensure the texture looks neat on the right side. And finally, hide the tails on the wrong side. For the remaining motifs that need to be sewn on the side, sew them in the same way. For the center pattern of Motif B, We leave some space on the edge to cover the sewing traces. Join all the motifs according to the chart like this or any technique you prefer. That completes the piecing. Next, let's work on the edging. We'll work the edgings around Motif A and Motif B separately. Let's do it together. Here, I will be working on the sample. You can see there is a circle of horizontal lines around Motif A. Here, I will crochet by picking up the short horizontal lines around Motif B. Hold Motif A with its right side facing you. Join yarn into any short horizontal line. Chain 3 to start. Chain 1 as a bridge. 1 double crochet into the next horizontal line. And chain 1. 2 double crochets into the next position, and chain 1 between them. Now chain 1 more. Continue like this. Make double crochets evenly into the horizontal lines. And increase every 2 double crochets. Chain 1 before and after each double crochet. In practice, you can adjust the increase position if you like. If more stitches increased, the larger pleats for the edging. Conversely, the pleats will be smaller. You may do it in your way. Keep going. For the corner, increase a few more stitches here. This will make the pleats cornered naturally and look nice. For the beginning chain, pick up the remaining strand and crochet. Then work along the side of the next Motif B. Keep working all the way for the horizontal lines on Motif B around the Motif A. Please complete it. After the last stitch, finish with a slip stitch. The sample has fewer stitches. If the patterns don't match up at the ending, it doesn't matter. Just make sure the pleats look natural. Round 1 is complete. Continue to crochet round 2. First, in the next chain space, make 1 slip stitch first. And follow the chart to crochet this round. Pay attention to increase for every 3 double crochets. And work all stitches into the chain spaces. Adjust the increase placement as needed. For the corners, increase once more. Please finish this round in this way. Finish with a slip stitch, and fasten off the yarn. Hide all the tails on the wrong side. That completes the edging around Motif A. Next, let's crochet the edging around Motif B. Note that there are no horizontal lines after sewing. We'll crochet 1 round of slip stitches first. Take out the yarn for the edging of Motif B. Insert the sewing seam to work slip stitches. Make these slip stitches slightly loose, so the fabric lays flat. There are no specific requirements for the entry position, just make sure it's even and flat. Crochet 1 round around motif B in this way. For the seam, work into the spot around here, as long as the transition looks nice. It won't be difficult to you. After this round, fasten off the yarn. Here, the sample has fewer stitches. Enlarge the loop, leave a tail and fasten off. Thread it under the starting braid. Then hook it to the wrong side. That makes the finish look nicer. Then follow the crochet technique for the edging of motif A. Pick up this strand of slip stitch near motif C. And start the edging. The technique is the same. Pay attention to increase additional stitches for the corners. Please follow the previous demonstration to complete it. That concludes the edging. Next, we will crochet the border around the joined motifs counterclockwise. Here, I'll be working on this sample. First, let's crochet round 1. You see, for this sample, the number of motifs is less than the finished project. Please focus on the techniques, and always on the basis of the actual project in your hands. Find the motif B on the upper right. Join yarn in the right edge. For the sample, we join yarn in this double crochet of the left gusset. Chain 3 to start. Then work a double crochet for each edge stitch. The specific entry position for the double crochets can be found on the chart. You can also adjust based on the actual situation, as long as the crocheted piece is flat and neat when completed. The entry position here on the sample is random. When you reach the chain space where you need to switch colors, work 1 double crochet in it. And now, crochet on the wrong side. Work into 2 strands on the left from the wrong side of row 8. Ensure the edge texture looks nice when completed. For the row side of row 6, 1 double crochet on the wrong side into the edge single crochet. For the next 2 rows, crochet into the further stitch of each row on the wrong side. Just work around. Don't show any traces on the right side. For row 1, continue to crochet 1 double crochet on the wrong side on the row side. For the starting point, work 2 double crochets. One chain and 2 double crochets. For the other side, work the same stitches. Please follow the chart and the previous video to complete it. For the gussets, work double crochets evenly. For the seam, 1 double crochet into the gap. For the side of motif C, work double crochets evenly into the stems. Positions here are random for the sample. Now, 1 double crochet for the starting point. And more double crochets for the other side. After this motif C, we have motif B and another motif C. Please follow the demonstration here as you go. Note that you need to work 1 double crochet at the sewing seam. The entry point of the double crochets on the chart is just for reference. You may adjust according to the actual situation when crocheting. Just ensure the fabric piece is flat and not wrinkled. Please complete this round like this. Finally, join with a slip stitch in the beginning chain to finish. That concludes round 1. For round 2, pick up stitches and work double crochets evenly. 4 double crochets into the chain space at the corner. Then join with a slip stitch and fasten off the yarn. It won't be difficult for you. That completes the edging. Finally, put on the buttons. There are 2 in total. Sew them onto the 2 corners of the edging on motif B. They should be adjacent corners. Sew them on the right side of the corner with the yarn for the edging. It won't be difficult for you. Lastly, I'll show you how to fold the blanket into a cushion. Since the sample is large, I'll use a paper model. Place the wrong side up. Fold the motif B at the corner inward. Then fold the 4 edges along the edging of motif B inward. Fold it into a square shape. Finally, fold the motif B on the inner circle inward. So motif A is on the right side, while motif B forms the wrong side. Folding is now complete. You need to secure the cushion in shape. After folding, the wrong side looks like this with 4 triangles. Button the opposite triangles up through the gaps between double crochets. The cushion is now completed. Up to this point, the entire blanket has been done. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.